Welcome, patrons. This Dragon Age day, I thought, why not talk about the possible conclusion of something that a lot of my longtime viewers have been theorizing about. You probably already know, based on the title and thumbnail, but hey, after years of speculation, I think we finally know who is who in the Elven Pantheon head shapes. Backstory. So I'm not going to go into the whole story on how this became a thing, but for years now, we have had these strange head symbol things attached to the Evanuris. We have had no idea who was who for the longest time. If you do want to watch me lose my mind about them, I have linked the series of videos down below where I talk about them, and the only really needed context is that we've been looking into the identities for these heads for a while now, and I haven't tallied how much time there is, but it's easily an hour of me talking about this shit for over 4 years? No, 6 years? I don't know. It's been a minute. Veilguard info. So, before Veilguard was released, of the 7 heads, we knew 3 for sure. Elgernon and Ghilanane from marketing material that was released this summer, as well as Andrul, who made an appearance in the Missing comic. So those were locked in well before the game came out. So what about after? Well, I had this bingo card locked in for ages now, so I want to quickly flash it up on screen to keep myself honest as to what my guess was, and now prepare for me to cry because I got it completely wrong. Oh god. So first, where is the information? A lot of you have been probably playing Veilguard by now and might have been looking for signs or Codex entries by the Evanuris altars. Alas, to my knowledge, I'm not sure if you can actually figure out who is who by in-game context alone. I could be wrong, maybe I missed it, we're still diving into a lot of the finer details of the game. But I said earlier, we knew the identities, so how do we know? Well, because I found it while data mining completely by accident. Yeah, you see, I was looking for this texture that appears in the Dreadwolf statues when you activate them, and found out that the statues are named with which gods they are in the files. So, Sun turns out to be Falandin, Line, who we now know is actually more of a Mohawk, is Dirthalen, Nib is Salaise, and Triad is Junae. Now, however, I do want to give a warning about the lineup by telling you all about another Evanuris-related mystery: the masks. In a twist of fate where I'm glad I stuck with the word head rather than switching to the more correct term mask, Veilguard has a series of collectible pantomime masks of the Evanuris as mementos. Now it's hard to tell, but these masks actually are modeled in-game and even uses decorations in the crossroads in both the floor medallions and the spirit market. We have data mined the models to get a better look at them, and here is the model as a whole set in one easy view, which I'm not sure where this asset is in game because I would love for this to be a room decor item. I'd hang up the terrible gods in my room. Fuck it, I don't care. Anyway, there are a couple of obvious ones like Fen'Harel, and I think this one here looks like a Holoskull, so perhaps Ghilanane. Ugh. And if nothing else, these 2 matching ones are surely the twin souls of Falandin and Dirthalen, right? Except, for the large part, what I think the masks should be don't actually align with what pairs with the mementos. Here are apparently the correct labels. And look, I can be wrong. I am wrong all the time, but I just refuse the idea that the mirror masks are Ghil and Falandin. And I don't know, I feel with the newly introduced symbol of the Elven Empire, I feel like it would be fitting for Salaise, the architect, to have that on her mask. And Mythal, the mother, would have a small little baby triangle on her head or something. The lineup here just doesn't feel right, and I'm wondering if this is probably just a small error that might drive me crazy enough to mod in one day. So, yeah. I bring all of this up because while data mines can be informative, they are not always canon. And you may say, well, Katie, this is also in-game assets. This is true. Many of them are also glitched to hell and back in the floor, making it hard to see. So I'm not sure we would have even been able to see what they look like so clearly had it not been for the data mines. The Codex entry. So, okay, the head associations I data mined might be incorrect. However, at the start of the video, I kind of presented it like they are. And that's because I think they are. I just also want to give you the context that there is room for doubt. But why do I think they are correct? Well, because of a Codex entry. In a letter by Bellara, she tries to connect the dots on which old god belongs to which elven god, and here she connects Junae with Erthamiel. If you look up at the lineup of heads, Janae stands out as the most awkward, in my opinion, because it's a throwback to Origins. Previously, in our discussion of Origins, there are two strange statues you can find. One that is associated to Falandin, thanks to Tamlin, and another that really has no association to Ethemiel other than being in the room of the Architect, who was his high priest, although he didn't really remember being one. Whatever. I always assume that while the bodies are different, the crown is close enough to perhaps be the same person, meaning that Falandin and Ethemiel are the same, or at least related. In my mind, this was Falandin in his early years who became corrupted to Ethemiel. That's how I was thinking about it. Apparently not. But with the Codex and this data mine, it seems that there are two different statues after all. But while Ethemiel's head looks quite the same from in-game, Falandin's does not. So there are a few possibilities here. One is that these are depicting the same god, but Tamlin doesn't know shit. Which is plausible, given that he doesn't seem to remember too well to begin with. Two is that they are different statues, but Falandin's is reworked, while Junae's wasn't, so that it connect back to Dragon Age Origins, despite Falandin's being the only one that was actually officially connected to the head shape and not Ethemiel's. This one doesn't make much sense, but it is plausible, I guess. Or three, the data mine in the Codex is wrong, which, while possible, I do think is a bit silly. Now, there is still a lot to piece together about the game and what's included, so it's totally possible that there is an in-game solution to all of this, and one that might even prove all this wrong. But until then, I think this is the intended solution, but feel free to tell me what you think. And that, dear patrons, is all that I have on the Evanuris heads. I know this is a bit of a light video, but I'm working on some crunchier stuff in the background that is just going to take me a bit of time to write. Goal is before the end of the year, but no promises. It keeps getting bigger. You know how it is. But what do you think? Do you still have lingering questions? Proof that I'm wrong? Comments about your own fan theory? Feel free to tweet me at Dirthalen on Twitter or Blue Sky. And to rest your all.